Matt, are you there?
I am here, Chris. I am here.
Thanks, Matt. I will actually just let you start rolling into it.
Okay, great. I appreciate it very much. Hopefully, everyone can. Chris, you see the slides up there?
I do. I see your name, Director of U.S. Distribution.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll dive right in. First off, want to thank everybody for jumping on today, for uh, joining to check out what D-Link has to offer. We're a relatively new manufacturer partner with Capital Sales. We've been working with them for about a year now, so we're super excited to be able to present to as many of their customers as we can, to just better help educate everybody on everything that we offer out there. So I'll start off just by introducing myself. My name is Matt Vaillancourt. I'm the director of our distribution channels. I have been with D-Link for over 10 years now, and been in the technology and networking space for coming up on like 15 years now. So not been around the longest, as some people have, but long enough to do some damage and to have a little bit of knowledge for you guys. So with that, we will jump right in. So just to give you guys a little bit of an overview of D-Link and who we are. So D-Link's been around for over 32 years now. We are a Taiwanese-based company, and we started off with making NIC cards and things along those lines back when the basics and the beginnings of networking had started. And we've evolved our line card ever since. From there, we do have a global presence. We have offices across the country, or I'm sorry, across the globe, and we have a presence on all 6 inhabited continents. And obviously, we started off with the NIC cards and some of the smaller networking technology, and then we evolved from there into more of or what we're known for anyways, is more of a consumer player. So I'm sure a lot of the folks here on the phone today have seen D-Link in Best Buy and on Amazon and things along those lines. And that's a common thing that we hear from a lot of our customers is, yeah, I know you for your routers, and that's not something that we shy away from. We've been doing those for years. We do have some rock solid routers and other home networking equipment out there. So that's kind of where we're going to start today, very briefly touching on the consumer stuff. I think it's very basic, but we do have some cool, unique products in that space that I just wanted to touch on, because sometimes when you are out there, you may have a small residential deployment or a small office, 1 or 2 seat type of deployment that you need to put some equipment into. And at times it does make sense to just use some consumer type equipment in order to fulfill those needs. Likewise, when we get into some of the later enterprise slides, you'll see that multiple times we've actually used consumer products in very large scale enterprise style deployment. So some unique, cool ways that we've been using it there. So first off, our wave 2 of routing. So the majority of our routers out today are AC Wave 2 with MU-MIMO beamforming technology built in on it. Both tri-band and quad band, and we even have some new ones coming out that are going to be able to support 4 independent streams, all on their own with multiple 5 gig networks. Again, just for people, as homes and small offices grow and the number of connected devices, specifically wireless connected devices, the ability to be able to segregate and load balance those devices is becoming more and more important. So we have new routers coming out in the coming months here. You'll hear some, I won't spoil any of it, but if you guys follow CES or attend it, you'll see a lot of great announcements from us there at that event for some new consumer technology that's coming out. And then obviously we also have AC USB dongles as well, to help enable older or legacy equipment to be able to connect to AC networks at the higher speed. Now, one of the new things that we have in this consumer routing space is our whole home Wi-Fi mesh system. It's called our cover system. And we just came out with this a couple of months ago, and we have a second version of it coming out in December. And using the word mesh in there, for those of you who are familiar, I'm sure you understand it effectively relates to being able to seamlessly roam, and also allow for the system to self-heal and allow for the system to self-balance the loads depending on the number of people that are, or devices that are on each access point. So this system here is a 3-pod system, which allows a very simple, easy setup where you just plug the first pod in and then put the other 2 around your home or your small office. And the system will automatically tell you where your optimal placement is for each pod. By little flashing lights on the pod, it'll tell you if you're too far away, so you can kind of try different areas to make sure you get optimal coverage. So for people who have larger areas that they want to cover with more of a consumer type of solution, this is it. You can get typically well over 5,000 square feet of coverage with the 3-pod system. And then you can see here we have a tri-band tower type system that uses the same technology coming out next month. And then just another important note on this, since security and IoT and everything else is a big talking point these days, we are starting to put firmware push notification on all of our products, both consumer and enterprise, so that it makes it easier for the manager of the devices to be able to be notified when a new firmware is available, so that they can go out and apply that firmware update to their products. Powerline solutions are also something that we have available today. I put this in here because, again, this is a consumer product that has enterprise type of applications. We've had many a customer who are deploying into historic buildings or constructed areas that have very thick concrete walls that makes it very hard to run Cat5 from place to place. So this is a great way to overcome that and allow you to get your wired connection to other parts of a building or other parts of a home without having to actually physically run any cable. So just a quick overview for those who are not familiar. Powerline effectively runs your network signal over the power wiring within the home. So over the 110 line within the home or within the office, from one point to the other point, and then you plug in your hardwired, whether it be a router or an actual device on the other end, whatever it may be. The only downfall or pitfall to these types of products here is if there are segregated electrical systems within the building that you're trying to deploy this in. So it only works if both the outlet you've plugged it into and the outlet that you are receiving it on are both on the same electrical box. They don't have to be on the same circuit, just on the same box in order for it to work. All right, so from there, we will jump into our enterprise space. And like I mentioned at the beginning, a lot of people don't realize we say D-Link and they think, oh, the router guys. And like I said, yeah, we are. But we also have a full line of enterprise products. And a lot of people did not or do not know that. So here is just a brief overview of our enterprise offering. And we'll dive in depth into each of these as we continue on. But we have a full line of enterprise level switching, full lines of unified and standalone wireless solutions. We also have full line of IP surveillance cameras and NVRs. And then last but not least, we do have a full line of VPN routers, which are becoming more and more of a necessity these days in most deployments to allow for tunneling back into that network. So a couple more points on D-Link in the Did You Know section. So D-Link, as I mentioned, has been around for over 32 years. We have a very large global presence. We're actually number one in enterprise WAN standalone access points unit shipped. These are global numbers, but still you can see we have a very large presence in this enterprise space. And likewise, and this is probably more surprising to a lot of people, is Ethernet switch port shipments. We are actually number 3, just behind Cisco and Huawei. So, one of the big advantages that D-Link has in today's marketplace is that D-Link is owned by their manufacturing company. So the manufacturing plant that is creating our products and some of our competitors' products is actually us. We're not outsourcing that or leveraging third parties or anything along those lines. And that allows us to be able to do some custom work. It allows us to be able to tweak some features on the firmware and the software and things along those lines. And it also allows us to keep the cost down. The cost isn't kept down by buying cheaper parts or anything along those lines. The same Broadcom chip goes into a D-Link switch that goes into every other switch that any other manufacturer makes out there today. So there's some pretty eye-opening numbers, we think, from the world of D-Link, if you weren't convinced already. So before we get into the technical aspects of the products, I wanted to go through some of the deployments that we're currently in, just to help visualize how D-Link is being used as an enterprise solution out in the marketplace today. So first off, and this is, I had aforementioned when we were talking about routers that some of our consumer products have been deployed into enterprise style solutions. And this is actually one of them. So some large automakers in the Detroit, Michigan area actually use D-Link USB dongles in every single one of their vehicles. And the reason why that dongle is in there is to create and connect securely to the mechanic's device that they use in order to run diagnostics on your vehicle. So in the old days, it used to be they had to find the right cable for a Ford or the right cable for a Chrysler or whatever. And now it's just they connect to this secure wireless network from your computer on your car to their device, and they can get all of the information that they need. So chances are, if you're driving around in actually it's expanding beyond American-made vehicles now, chances are that there is a D-Link product on board in your car today. We've recently also just launched into a current refresh system with TSA. So a lot of airports nowadays are having their switch infrastructure updated and actually replacing other manufacturers and installing D-Link. They really like the security and the costs that are associated with our products, and the low cost of services, actually no cost to services, both on customer service and troubleshooting. Another big thing that we currently are working on as well is being deployed into other customer solutions. So we have a customer out there today that does medical carts. They're actually mobile X-ray medical carts. And the switch and the access point on those carts are both D-Link mainstream enterprise products that are on there. And while you'll never actually see where the D-Link product is on that cart, every time that these customers sell one of their carts, they sell some D-Link product along with it, which is a great opportunity for us. One of your or some people's favorite fast food restaurants with the Golden M. You'll notice if you go there, you'll notice that they've slowly but surely been replacing their minimum wage cashiers with touchscreens. And the touchscreens and the backbone infrastructure to virtually every McDonald's out there today is actually powered by D-Link switches. In this particular instance, I wanted to bring up that we've actually done customized firmware for these types of solutions. So if you run into an opportunity where you have a need for customized firmware or customized product, D-Link is definitely nimble enough to be able to do that for you. And this is a great example of where we've done that. Those of you who are fans of Las Vegas or gaming, we are all over Las Vegas as well in multiple different types of deployments, both managing IP surveillance networks for some of the largest casinos out there. But surprisingly, again, in unique deployments of enterprise products, there are actually D-Link switches deployed into slot machines that are out there all across the city. The slot machines obviously now are very high tech, very digital, and they need to be able to switch and communicate their information back to a main network. And that's where we've been involved in that. And then last but not least, and this is a big one for our DSR series, which is our VPN routers that we'll talk about in a little bit here. So a lot of you, when you go to pump your gas, you're getting blasted with commercials on the TV screens that they have on them now. And again, that's a deployment by D-Link as well. So when these gas pumps are deployed out into the market space, they obviously need to be connected back to the internet in order to feed and update them with new content. And that is done with D-Link VPN network routers. So a lot of great deployments that are out there today. Hopefully that gets some gears turning in your mind of different ways that D-Link can potentially be deployed, and likewise different ways to deploy D-Link in recurring opportunities, such as the medical carts or the gas pumps, so that every time that solution is sold, all of your product is sold in there as well. All right, so we'll jump in and go through some of the products. And again, as Chris had mentioned, if you guys have any questions on this stuff, please type them in. I'll do my best to answer the majority of them. Some that may get extremely in-depth and technical, I might not have answers for, but I will definitely get answers and get them out to you guys. So business style switching. D-Link actually has a full line of switches, anywhere from a basic unmanaged switch all the way up to fully managed layer 3, 10 gig, 40 gig, anything in between type of switches. We have them out there and in the wild today. So we're going to run through each of these product lines. Some of them I'm going to just touch on. Some of them I'm going to go a little more in depth on due to the features that I think are pretty relevant to the business that you guys are working in today. So first off, our unmanaged switches, as you can see, anywhere from a basic 5-port unmanaged metal chassis switch. We also have PoE versions of these as well, all the way up to full 24-port switches. Again, unmanaged, these are switches that are virtually plug and play. You're just going to be connecting in either your PoE or your standard devices, and preloaded QoS and other configurations are on the switch themselves, and they will then go out and do your bidding for you. But if you need to have any layer of actually managing or controlling what these switches are doing, you're going to want to step up to the smart managed switches, because this is your first layer of actual switch management, hands-on management that you can get into with the switches. We have 3 different versions in here. We have our 1100 series, our 1210 series, and our 1510 series. The main difference, when you get up into the 1510 series, you're getting into a layer 2 style of switch. So you're getting into a very robust offering as far as the features are concerned and what you can actually control in the routing capabilities of the switch. Things like static routing and physical stacking and things along those lines are what you're going to find in these types of switches that you will not find in the lower ones. The nice thing about these switches here is that they are priced at a really good price point that makes it kind of a no-brainer to go out and deploy them into your solutions. When you get into the layer 2 plus and layer 3, the bigger style switches, and you start going over $1,000 a switch, people start to take a look at that from a cost perspective and wonder if that is truly something that they want to deploy or truly something that they need. And these guys right here are our bread and butter and really give, for most deployments, the best of both worlds. So while we're here, I'm going to stop and actually talk about the 1210 series a little more in depth, because there are some great features that are offered on these switches that really you'll see here on the slide that really make them kind of the catch-all as a great solution for a lot of deployments that most people have today. These switches have a lot of these security type features that a lot of people look for in a switch. Security being a big, network security being a big thing these days. It's no longer good enough to just put a firewall on there and walk away. You have to protect the network from the inside as well. And that means network hardening. That means switch hardening. And a lot of the advanced security features you see on here, access control list, 802.1 access authentication, spoofing protection, things along those lines that are going to allow you to better secure your customer's network, so that if someone does plug into an open port somewhere on the network, they're not going to get very far. A lot of these features you see here, you won't find on a lot of our competitors' switches. They didn't go down to, I guess, this level, if you will, with that. You can also see that we have a lot of great features with quality of service and band limiting and link aggregation and things along those lines on these switches, to make your customer's network more efficient as well. So not only are we protecting the network, but we're also helping you provide value to the customer by better tuning their network to their particular needs. Now, one of the, and I should mention that these switches, as you can see on the side, they come in 10 by 100 version. They also come in gigabit version, and they also come in 10 gig version. And we'll get a little more in depth into 10 gig switches a little later on, but excuse me. I wanted to just point that out, that we do have these versions available. I know a lot of people are getting into 4K video and things along those lines that have a need for a lot of throughput and a lot of bandwidth. And having the 10 gig switches, or at the very least having switches with 10 gig uplink ports on them, are very important in order to get those type of interfaces to work fluidly. The last bit that I wanted to touch on these switches, you'll see the intuitive graphical user interface stated on there. And what is that? So that is our new surveillance mode GUI that we've included on all of our 1210 and all of our 1100 series of switches. Those are, the reason why we included on those switches is those are our most popular switches for IP surveillance deployment. Now, most people, if you guys are getting into IP surveillance or virtually any type of IP PoE type of services these days, know that it can be rather intuitive to figure out what's connected to where, how much power it's drawing, how much power do I need, all that other fun stuff. And what's great about this switch is what you see on the screen right now, that's actually the GUI. It is literally a picture of the switch, and then it'll tell you everything that's connected to it. And if you go and you hover over, say, a camera that's connected to it, it'll tell you what port it's on, what the IP address is. It'll tell you how much power it's pulling. It'll allow you to go directly to the interface of the web interface of that particular device, whether it be a camera or an access point or another switch, whatever it might be. And one of the greatest features that I enjoy about this interface and this setup here is that if you do have say you have a customer call you and say, yeah, camera 3 isn't working, you can actually remote into this switch and just click on the port that camera 3 is connected to, and it'll turn the power off. And then you click it again, it'll turn the power right back on for you. So definitely a great cost-saving feature. You don't have to roll a truck. You don't have to go out there. You can do your initial tech support investigation remotely without even having to go on site. If you are a fan of more traditional GUIs, fear not. You can toggle between the two even while you're in the midst of setting up this switch. So you don't have to feel like you're specifically locked into using this. If maybe you're a little more familiar with the old style of GUI with drop downs and radio buttons and things along those lines. Another great feature of this particular GUI is that it has a nice readout on exactly how much usage and bandwidth is going through this switch. So you have a better understanding of exactly what's pulling how much power, what's pulling how much bandwidth. Do you need to make adjustments? Do you need to do some load balancing? Do you need to bring on another switch? Any other number of things along those lines. Great feature, again, on this particular GUI for this switch. And then last but not least, it's got some great troubleshooting features on it as well. So it'll actually tell it has loop detection. So if you've inadvertently created a loop within your network, it'll be able to tell you that you've done that. It'll tell you exactly what camera PoE line has failed, what camera's cable has failed, what cable is ran too long, which is the big thing in the PoE world these days. There's a limit to the distance that you can run a cable without having to put a mid-span in there. And this switch will actually tell you if you've inadvertently done that. So great switch that is definitely going to make your IP surveillance, or in some cases, your PoE product deployment much, much easier. All right, so we're going to run through the remainder of the switch catalog as efficiently as I can for you guys. I know we're getting a little long on time here. So this is our Metro Ethernet series of switches. You'll see they also have the 1210 designation. So they carry a lot of the same features and functionalities that the 1210 series we just talked about do as well. The big difference with these guys here is that we've added in a full CLI capability. So you can, if you're familiar with command line interface, you can actually go in and flash your own custom settings per switch quickly and easily, rather than having to go switch by switch by switch and actually change each of the features. You can have your setup pre-saved, load it on the switch, throw it into the rack, away you go. A nice feature about these as well, they do have 6K surge protection on them, and they also have what's called dying gas. And these switches are very big in the telco market right now. And the reason for that is the dying gas and the surge protection. What dying gas does is, if for whatever reason the power goes out on this switch, the last thing this switch will do with its last ounce of power is send a notification out, whether it be SMS or email or whatever you've selected, saying, hey, help, I'm down, I have no power, gonna need some attention. Which is a great feature for obviously people who are running telcos or other services that value and could suffer some loss if there's any significant downtime. All right, we're going to run through some new products that we have out. So we've just introduced our DMS 1100 series of switches. These are mid-span switches. A lot of wireless deployments today, as the wireless access points increase in throughput and capability, a lot of access points are now going over 100 Mbps. I'm sorry, 1000 Mbps, which means if you have them connected to just a gig switch, that's the limiter of your pipe. You can't go any faster than that. So these are, you'll see, 2.5 gigabit smart switches. So these are intended to be connected back to 10 gig infrastructure, and then obviously connected to some access points that are capable of going over 1 gig of throughput, which is what a lot of new deployments are upgrading to. We also have our new series of industrial switches. So those of you who are working in the industrial spaces of the world, so big warehouse deployments, toll booths, things along those lines where you need a ruggedized switch, this is your guy right here. We have them available in PoE and non-PoE, fully managed, all the features I talked about before on some of the other switches. We loaded these bad boys up with everything anyone would possibly need in these ruggedized types of solutions. This is a very hot up-and-coming market today. As deployments expand outside of the rack, these are the types of switches that most people are looking for. And then last but not least of our new switching offering, we have now open network switching. So for those of you who are interested in a switch that is a bare metal switch called the bare metal switch, it doesn't come with any software on it. You load your own custom software on it. We have those as well. Now, we have partnered with a company called Pluribus Networks, and they've loaded their software on there, but you do not have to use nor purchase the switch with that software on there. You can purchase this open network switch, just plain Jane, blank switch, and then do whatever you need to do with it. Typically, these are deployed in top of rack type of solutions, but I've also seen them aggregated into other rack type of solutions as well. And then last but not least, to round out our complete switch solution, you'll see here that we have our fully managed switches. So anywhere from layer 2 to plus, layer 3, you see the 10 gig switches up on the top right there. As I mentioned before, very, very important switch for a lot of people who are now getting into 4K video switching, high-end audio switching, things along those lines require the throughput that these have in order to provide a lag chop-free video presentation or audio presentation. So this is just some of the highlights on that 10 gig switch for you. It is layer 3. It is fully managed. It does have hot swappable power modules. It does have expansion modules, which you'll see here. So you can switch up and put in whatever type of SFP, copper, fiber, anything along those lines that you need to do. You can get the correct module to allow you to do that. In addition to that, we do actually sell the modules. So we do have SFP, the different flavors of SFP modules out there today. So we do have those, fiber and copper. So whatever type of solution that you're looking to deploy, we have that complete setup for you. So just some quick points on the switches. I mentioned before that, we're right up there on the sales side of thing with the Ciscos of the world and the HPs and the Huaweis of the world. We've actually gone out and if you want, you can, if you don't want to write down that link at the bottom, I can send you a link afterwards, but we actually went out to a third-party independent testing group. We gave them our switch and some of our competitors' switch, and they ran them through a whole ton of benchmarks. Testing throughput and latency and all kinds of other different things. And we've done 4 total of these tests on our different switch lines. This one came out the best in our favor. Some of the other ones, we were on par with the majority of our competitors out there today. But when you factor in our services and you factor in our warranty and the total cost of ownership, we blew all of our competition out of the water. So that, last but not least, brings us to the warranty. So all of our managed switches, the WebSmart 1100 series and above, come with a full lifetime warranty. You don't pay for the warranty. There's no additional fees or services to maintain this warranty. It comes out of the box with the switch. If something goes wrong with this switch in the lifetime you have this switch, you call our US-based tech support. They will mail you a new one. You put the old one in the box and send it back to us. It's next business day. So a lot of our competitors out there today charge for this type of service. And we see, and we are so confident in our products and their low failure rate that we confidently offer this to our customers. All the other switches come with a limited lifetime warranty on that, which is effectively, it doesn't have the next business day replacement. We will replace the switch if it's deemed that there is a significant issue with the switch that it would need to be replaced. And also the lifetime of it is 5 years after discontinuation of the product, which still in most deployments is far longer than anyone really wants to have the switch deployed anyways. All right, so the last 2 sections are relatively short. I will roll through them as efficiently as I can for you guys. IP surveillance. We do have a full line of IP surveillance cameras out there today. All of our cameras are PoE cameras. So just have to run that one cable out to them to get the data and the power out to the camera. We have indoor, outdoor, vandal-proof domes, bullet cameras. All of these have IR LEDs for day-night. Some of them have 2-way audio on them. You could even see there's a 360-degree fisheye lens camera on the bottom right there. Our cameras function with the vast majority of video monitoring service partners that are out there today. So you see Milestone, ONSSI, Video Insight, Digital Watchdog, all the big names out there. You can connect their cameras with their software and put them into those ecosystems, and they will work just fine today. We do offer a free software program with our cameras that comes in the box that supports up to 32 D-Link cameras. So if you don't want to use one of those, you can use that instead. And then last but not least, we do have a box, a NVR, effectively, that you can connect to your camera system as well. It'll do up to 16 cameras. There's 2 bays, 3.5-inch data drives. You could put up to 6 terabyte drives in each bay, so 12 terabytes total. The user interface you can log into on any computer that's on the network. So it really and you don't have to remain logged in on a computer. The system itself is self-contained, and it will run everything on the box itself. You can also access this remotely through an app or directly through a My D-Link portal. So if you want to review incidents or anything along those lines, or just do live check-ins, you can do that right there. Okay, so these are just a quick little up close of some of our Vigilance line of cameras that we have out there. The great thing about our Vigilance line of cameras is that they are all sub $200 pricing. So you can see some pretty robust features on here for a camera that's under $200. 3 megapixel, and we've actually have a 5 megapixel out now of these as well. Indoor outdoor rated, negative 22 to positive 122 degree Fahrenheit. So that covers virtually everywhere. I have seen them deployed in areas like Phoenix and other hot spots, and they've done just fine in those areas. Some of our bigger outdoor bullets that we have available, again, very similar to the Vigilance line of cameras. Close up of a couple of the domes, both an indoor and an outdoor. And then also some more of our outdoor regular vandal-proof domes. Now, a lot of our new Vigilance cameras are adding H.265, which is a very important technology piece, saving bandwidth and saving storage space. So for those of you who are familiar, the current, I guess, most commonly used standard is H.264, recently released H.265, which can, as you can see, deliver a significant bandwidth saving of 30 to 50%, which directly correlates to up to a 50% savings of storage space. So you can store more video on the same size hard drive that you had in there before. So all of our new Vigilance cameras that are coming out now have that technology on it. And then last but not least, on the cameras, we have a 5-year warranty included on most of our business class cameras. The only ones that don't have it are ones that have mechanical parts, i.e. pan tilt zoom cameras, which we only have one of right now. So almost all of our cameras have that 5-year warranty on it. Again, a testament, most people only keep their cameras for 2 to 3 years before they upgrade to the newer, bigger, badder stuff. A testament to D-Link's offering here today is that we do have these extended warranties on them for you. So next up, business wireless. Again, we have software managed standalone access points, dual band, single band. We actually have tri-band and quad band coming out in January. So we have some great additions to this line card coming out. We say these are software managed because they do come with D-Link Central Wi-Fi Manager, which is a software-based centralized AP management system. So this will allow you to manage multiple access points and update a standalone access point network. So you need to update 10 of these rather than going access point to access point and doing the individual updates on each access point. You do it in the Wi-Fi Manager, it pushes out to all of your standalone access points for you. It's accessible anywhere. It can be accessed on a smartphone or tablet. So again, if you need to make adjustments to a customer's network, it saves you from having to roll a truck and actually go there. Unified wireless is also a big category for us today. So we have we have hardware controllers, and then we also have unified wireless access points to go along with them. When connected with layer 3 switching, this will provide seamless roaming and self-healing network for you. And then last but not least is our DSR series of service routers. These have as I mentioned at the beginning, these have become extremely popular in today's hyper secure networking world. It allows customers to be able to remote back into the network, tunnel back into their network securely, protecting them from prying eyes or anyone who might be trying to sniff your internet traffic. There are also some nice opportunities on these for reoccurring revenue. We do have firewall capabilities on these, and we also have content filtering capabilities on these. They are enabled via licenses that you purchase per switch for however number of users are going to be on the switch. And again, that provides a nice opportunity for you when you're presenting this to the customers to be able to get some recurring revenue on a yearly or even monthly basis in order to manage their firewall or their content or any other number of things. And you can see we have 4 different flavors of these, from a basic entry level all the way up to one that provides wireless AC access in addition to hardwired ports. Last but not least, we do have nationwide support service, both sales and technical staff. And we also, as I mentioned, have a on-site US-based technical support staff as well for post-sales issues. So just a quick little graphic of our team here across the country. And hopefully I didn't go through that too fast. I know it's a lot of information to digest in a relatively short amount of time, but I wanted to make sure I got the full scope of D-Link out there to you guys today. So at that, I thank you guys for sticking it out and watching, and I hope you guys have some great ideas and some great thoughts on some new ways that you could leverage and deploy D-Link into your solutions. And Chris, I guess if there's any questions, we can hit on those.
And before we get into some questions, I don't know if you can hop on the D-Link website. I want to just a small switch that has honestly been a great fixing switch. It's the DSG 1100 05 PD. It's kind of a unique switch that you guys have that really haven't found too many guys that have this option. I don't know if you can pull that up as well.
I had a slide on it, but I can talk to it really quick. So the switch that Chris was talking about is actually kind of a pseudo midspan. So the DGS 1005 PD, what it allows you to do is the switch itself is actually powered by PoE. So if you connect this switch to a PoE plus, and I make that designation a PoE plus switch, it can actually deliver power to the switch and then be able to power one additional PoE device off of that switch, in addition to providing data switching on the other remaining ports. So in instances like this, you can use it. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to pinpoint one example that was a really a fixed option was you're doing a lot more HD over IP, you're doing a lot of things, and you go into a lot of these places where you may have only have one network port behind like a display. You maybe don't have any extra outlets as well. You can power this switch, put it behind the display, pass PoE to your HD over IP, probably 1080 receiver just because of bandwidth, as well as plug in your TV so you can control it via IP, and or control, if you're doing a third-party control system, do your other modules right off this as well, without or pulling more. So I mean, and the cost of it was just it's on price, and it's a great little fixture item. Awesome, and especially a lot of retrofit installs that I've had to design.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do actually have an 8-port version of this coming out in a couple of months as well. So a great new addition to that functionality of that switch as well.
Yeah, and again, that's the model is the 1100 series, so it's 1100 05 PD, Paul David. Great little switch. So with that, I just want to highlight that switch. It's not the biggest, it's not the baddest that they've got, but it was a really unique switch as well that that not a lot of people have to offer that option. So with that, we can get into the questions. First question here I see is, with the screen dashboard UI, can you label the JP addresses with a device name? So when you hover over it, it's easy to go back to other installs.
Yeah, actually, what you can also do on that too, in addition to labeling it, is you can actually upload a custom picture to it as well. So if there's a device that didn't get auto detected by the switch itself and automatically apply a picture to it, you can actually upload a picture of the device or of your dog or whatever you want, however you want to label that particular port and what's connected to it. Absolutely, you can have visual and written cues.
Awesome. And also, guys, just so you're aware, this webinar, we did record it. It will be on the Capital Sales YouTube channel. Hop on. The link webinar will be on there. Give us 24 to 48 hours to update it. And as well, we will have this PowerPoint internally. If you want the PowerPoint itself, reach out to your account manager at Capital. We'll be happy to get it to you. We want you to have this info readily available. With that, another question. Can D-Link trunk multiple VLANs on a single port?
I believe that we can, but that is a question that I would want to refer to one of our sales engineers just to get a little bit more clarity on it. I'm fairly certain that we are able to do that, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Awesome. Now, guys, I do know how it goes. We covered so much stuff. We covered consumer routers, business class switches, cameras, wireless, controllers. There's a lot of stuff that we went over. So it is probably a little overwhelming. It's a lot larger line than, like you said, than what people realize. If you guys have any questions, feel free to post them now. We got Matt on the phone. But I also know that as soon as we get off throughout the day, the question's going to pop up. Feel free to reach out to myself, reach out to your account manager at Capital, reach out to D-Link. We're all here to help you guys out, answer your guys' questions, maybe help you guys with any designs that you need as well. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to help redesign or design a system if you want to try and use D-Link. So do you guys have any more questions? I don't see any rolling in, but I want to give you guys the time to think of some, and we're here to answer them for you.
Hey, Chris, I do see one here in the comments. They want to get the test link. So we do have test links on our website that you can actually go in and test and play with the different GUIs that we offer. So you can just go to dlink.com and log into the US site, and you don't have to have a login ID or anything. And they actually have that under the services and support section where you can actually go in and play with the different GUIs. We do also offer demo gear. So if you're, these are typically reserved for current or existing opportunities. So if you have an opportunity to deploy D-Link into a solution and you want to effectively make sure that it's going to work the way you want it to work and need to get a sample to do that, we absolutely will provide those types of samples for you in order to make sure that they're going to work in your solution that you're trying to set up with your customer. And likewise, if there is an opportunity where you need some custom work done, we are more than able and happy to do that type of work for you as well. So again, just engage with us. To be completely honest, that medical cart or the mobile x-ray cart, we partnered with them on designing that entire cart, but only 2 pieces of it, and they're relatively cheap pieces, are actually D-Link products. Everything else is other manufacturers that make out every time they sell one of those. but it's important to us because we are the main aggregator of making the whole thing work. Everything goes through the switch. So if the switch doesn't do its job, nothing works. So we are we pride ourselves on making sure that we work with you on your solution from beginning to end, regardless if it's D-Link homegrown from one end to the other. We don't care if there's other players in the sandbox. We play nice with them. So, you know, definitely bring us your solutions that you need help solving. We'll be more than happy to do that with you.
And then on APs, when you guys get into larger systems, how do you guys compare to Cisco, Aruba, places like that? I mean, large commercial installations or even smaller commercial installations that do want a really robust, nice wireless network.
So our sweet spot is about 250 APs and under. So we've seen some very large deployments out there that your Meraki's and Arubas and Ruckuses of the world get involved in. And when you get into those larger type of deployments, to be completely honest, that's not really us. We have products that we could surely make it work, but is it going to be intuitive and as easy as some of those other guys? Probably not. So smaller deployments is really our key where we focus on that space. With our new unified access points that are coming out in January, we will absolutely, in fact, some of the features on those access points are actually far superior to anything that the competition is currently offering. I had mentioned the quad beam and the multiple 5 gig networks that each access point will be able to deploy in order to better load balancing and better throughput for the different SSIDs that you may create off of that. And that's something that our competition doesn't currently have out there on their access point. So absolutely, we compete in that space. Very comparable on price and all that other fun stuff.
Well, thanks, Matt. Do you guys have any other questions? And 250 access points, that's still a fairly nice size install. I mean, you get into a large campus, yeah, you may get over that, but, or most of the hospitals, 250 access points probably cover most of the, a lot of these size hospitals.
I will note on that too, Chris, real quick. If you on dlink.com, we do have a full list of case studies where we've done our wireless deployments in college campuses. We've done wireless deployments in hospitals and also IP surveillance deployments in hospitals as well. And those case studies are all right there on dlink.com. So you can actually see what was used, how it was deployed, the results, all that other fun stuff. So absolutely, we have opportunities for that. David here also says the pods that I mentioned. So I'm assuming you're talking about the consumer cover system that has the 3-pod system that provides a whole home wireless mesh network covering up to 5,000 square feet. The main pod needs to be hardwired to the modem or router. Obviously, turn DHCP off on the router because this, if you have one of those combo modem router thingies, because this device will actually do that as well for you. That's the only one that needs to be wired. The other 2 pods are wireless. All you have to do is provide AC power to them. And as far as a commercial pod version, all I have right now is just that 3-pod kit, and then there's also the 2-tower kit that's coming out in December. Those are very much consumer plays, again, that could be translated into a small office or maybe a residential type of deployment. But outside of that, I don't have something like that on a more commercial type of solution. No problem, David. Thank you.
Well, guys, we'll give you guys another minute here to, let everything kind of sink in. And if you guys have any questions, just post them. You know, we'll hang on here for a bit longer just to make sure we want to answer all your guys' questions. But again, if you guys have any questions throughout the day, tomorrow, next install, whatever it is, feel free to reach out to, again, myself, your account manager, Capital, D-Link. We would all be more than happy. We'd love to talk to you about it and see what we can do to help you out. Well, guys, if there's no more questions, Matt, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to go over the D-Link line with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been really great to be able to present this to your customer base.
Yeah, it's an exciting line we've had for a little while here at Capital, but it is fairly new. A lot of times at Capital we'll bring on new lines, and sometimes the word doesn't get out. So I'm really glad that we're able to do these webinars, get the manufacturer, get D-Link involved to really go over the line. And I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your day. When you're sitting here on the webinar, you're not out there making money. So it's an investment to you guys, and I want to thank you guys for that as well. So I hope we were able to answer your guys' questions. We did go over a lot of lines, a lot of really cool products. So if you guys come away with only one item on this thing that really stood out to you, I think we did our job. So again, Matt, I want to thank you guys, and I want to thank you guys as well.
Great. Thank you, Chris, and thank you everybody very much. Appreciate the time today.
You too, and I hope you guys have a great day.